This week, we've seen a new threat to open source gaming emerge, and it's not who you'd think it is. And what major publisher would go out of their way to make their AAA games available DRM free? We'll talk about it. Plus, new updates to the Steam Deck beta channel. All of this and more today. Let's get right into the news. So, RPCS3 has added a bit of a workaround to allow the gamepad to control the emulator's GUI. This is excellent if you're using something like the Steam Deck and you find it annoying to have to kind of take your hand off the control and use the touchscreen or even modify the settings of the touchpads in Steam Input. So how does it work? Well, it's pretty simple actually. When no game is running in the emulator, a separate process is spawned that translates player one's input into keyboard and mouse input. And when a game starts, the gamepad process is killed. There are two options regarding this feature. The first is enable pad navigation, and the other one is allow global pad navigation, which persists the mouse and keyboard emulation even when RPCS3 isn't in focus. Now, there's no customization for the mapping of gamepad input to key press. These are hard-coded values. The D-pad maps to the arrow keys, the cross button maps to enter, circle to escape, and so on. And the left stick maps to the mouse, and L1 and R1 buttons are left and right click respectively. Now, this is an excellent update that should provide a much more usable experience for players who are outside the traditional desktop setup. Okay, next up, AMD has stopped certifying monitors and TVs that aren't capable of 144 Hz or more. That's right, the new floor for AMD FreeSync is 144 Hz, and that's a big deal. The FreeSync spec used to define a minimum of 60 Hz refresh, and FreeSync Premium was anything greater than 120 Hz. But now the minimum spec for FreeSync is 144 Hz or more, and FreeSync Premium is anything 200 or more. And this new floor also specifies a minimum horizontal resolution of 3440 pixels. I love it when specifications are forceful and opinionated like this. Why have a spec if it's not pushing the boundaries of the industry, am I right? Now, what other things would you like to see in the spec? Feed the engagement algorithm and leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And while you're down there, be sure to like that smash button. It's the best way to tell YouTube you want to see more videos just like this. But if you're tired of the machinations of a cold, unfeeling, and radicalizing suggestion algorithm eroding your digital autonomy, why not check out my streaming site, subscribe2.me. You can subscribe using your existing Fediverse account, and even like, comment, and share from Mastodon, PixelFed, and more. None of this would be possible if it weren't for my patrons, so a special shout out goes to them. I've had a lot of folks say that they don't like Patreon, so I set up a coffee recently too. You can check that out as well. There's going to be links down below. It's all greatly appreciated. This is extremely exciting news, guys. Insignia, the community-made resurrection of Xbox Live for the original Xbox, has announced that Halo 2 is now in public beta. This is huge news as Insignia's been around for a couple years at this point, but Halo 2 has been conspicuously absent in the lineup of supported games. Halo 2's launch on Insignia marks a turning point for the community here, as this basically resurrects Halo 2 online multiplayer on original Xbox hardware, as long as it's hacked, or even on emulated Xboxes using Zemu. Now, I have a video about Zemu here on the channel. You can check that out. And getting set up with Insignia is pretty easy, so check it out, links below. Okay, so as a kid, I played the hell out of Red Faction for PlayStation 2. My best friend Carl and I played this game for days on end. I didn't even realize that it was available on Steam. I thought it was like kind of abandonware at this point. So you can understand my excitement and why I picked this bundle up as soon as I saw it. Because it includes not only the first Red Faction, but 4 Red Faction games. It also has 5 Saints Row games, all of which for $10. It should be noted that Red Faction Armageddon is listed as unsupported, but has a gold rating on ProtonDB. Saints Row the Third Remastered is also listed as Steam Deck unsupported, but it has a platinum rating on ProtonDB. And Saints Row Gat Outta Hell is unrated, and it has a bronze rating on ProtonDB. Doesn't look like that one works very well on the Steam Deck. Anyway, as always, picking up a bundle supports the charity of choice, the developers of the game, and if you use my link, it helps this show as well, so thank you. Okay, so the New York Times has pulled a Nintendo. If you're a regular watcher of this show, then you'll know exactly what that means. But for those who don't, it means that the New York Times legal team have ignored both law and court precedent to claim ownership not only of the game Wordle, but the very idea of a word game. See, much like you can't own the recipe for a meal, you also can't own the mechanics of a game. But the New York Times doesn't see it that way. They bought Wordle a few years ago, and now they've started to attack open source clones of the game, including Reactl, a React.js implementation of the game's mechanics. Now, according to their takedown requests, the New York Times claims that they own the mechanics of the game, including the quote 5x6 grid and the green tiles to indicate correct guesses. Those are direct quotes. And yes, they have filed DMCA takedowns against these GitHub accounts and forks of these games. Imagine if id had done this against so-called Doom clones in the 90s. What if they had taken Doom clones to court and won? What kind of games would we have lost out on if they were successful in claiming they owned the idea of like a first-person shooter? I'm sorry, New York Times, but you do not own the idea of a word game. If that were possible, Scrabble would like to have a word with you. Get it? A word? Because they're both word. Okay, you can get God of War right now over on GOG for 50% off as of writing this. This is the full game, and it's now DRM free. This is pretty exciting to see. But God of War isn't the only PlayStation game available DRM free on GOG. There's also Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, Days Gone, and Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition as well. Some of them are 75% off right now as well. And if you're looking to pick up any of these games and play them on Steam Deck, check out Heroic Game Launcher. It's simple to install and it will save you a lot of time and headache. So there have been a few updates to the Steam Deck beta channel over the last week, and with some interesting stuff included. Let's go over it. First, on Friday, March 8th, there was a small update. Made taking screenshots more responsive, modified CSS class names to reduce package size and reduce feature leaks. In desktop mode, if a game failed to update, show why on the details page as well as the download page. And for Steam input, they added a reset to horizon action. This helper can reset the camera to the horizon by sending 180 degrees down and then 90 degrees up after a very short delay. This is meant to help reset the game when you're using gyro controls, and you can bind it to any action slot. Quite an interesting feature, and it's really awesome to see Valve adding stuff like this. Then on Monday the 11th, they fixed a bug that prevented the frame rate limiter from applying changes. They fixed screenshots not including Steam user interface elements, and they added an option in settings in-game to hide Steam user interface elements from screenshots. User interface elements being stuff like the Mango HUD that shows performance overlay and such. They fixed an error with launching some games that were introduced in the previous beta. They fixed the swap A and B buttons when using Nintendo GameCube controllers. And they also tweaked the reset camera horizon action. They increased the maximum delay to allow for more consistent behavior on lower and less consistent frame rates. Then on Tuesday, we saw a small update that addressed some remote play issues. They fixed missing audio while streaming, and they fixed continually being prompted for the pin when pairing a device, which is an issue I've run into a couple times. All in all, a great series of updates to see from the beta channel, and I can't wait for them to hit the main stable channel. What do you think though? What features are still missing from the Steam Deck? Leave me a comment and let me know below. I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, that's all the news I wanted to talk about this week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.